Yeah, good evening, Kweku. Good evening to all your listeners in Takoradi and Ghana. Nice to be here.
Wonderful. So how is London? How is the field London like?
Well, I'm here in Manchester at the moment, and of course the expectations are very high. England's performance last night was a little disappointing. They couldn't break down the opposition, and 0-0 at the end. So it was a little disappointing against Slovakia. They qualified, but I think people are a little disappointed here. Really, with all the strike power that they had, team selection, 6 changes, people not performing. So, although they qualified, there's a little disappointment.
Meaning the expectation for the Three Lions was very high if they were disappointed.
Very high. And as you remember when I said to you, a couple of weeks ago before the competition started, we always have this, it here in England, this high expectation for our national team, and with the expectation that they're going to deliver. But most of the time we're sadly disappointed. But anyway, we're not complaining so far because the team has qualified, and I think they'll play. They're due to play the second place of Group F, which has not yet been decided because there's still two more games to play within that group.
Wow. What are the key elements that the English players are talking about, the press in England? What are the key elements that they are talking about? What really is accounting for your poor form in the Euros? Are they blaming the coach, or who are you really blaming?
Well, we can't really blame everything on the coach. The players have got a lot to answer for. But I think, in all honesty, when you're making 6 changes, Hodgson argued it was only 4. But in fact, if you look at the starting lineup of the game against Wales, he made 6 changes for the Slovakia game, and both fullbacks were replaced. He dropped Wayne Rooney, our talisman and captain, onto the bench. Didn't bring him on till 15 minutes to go. It was disappointing. Sturridge and Vardy never really clicked. Eric Dyer had a good game. Jack Wilshere a little bit disappointed, but still he's not fully fit. And I'm not quite understanding why he's been selected. Because poor Jack, he's not match fit to me.
Wow. So what about Kane? Has Kane really disappointed the English fans? The expectation on him was very high.
Who's that? Sorry,
Kane, Harry Kane.
Yeah, Harry Kane. I mean, no one's talking about him. It's as though he's glued to the substitutes bench, and people are saying, "Oh, he looks tired," but everybody else has had the season, so he's not come through. Now, whether Hodgson was resting people on the basis that he knew he was going to qualify, and he was trying to hold a few players back because you don't get much break here in the Championships. You're resting 2 or 3 days, and then you're on again. For the next round, and of course now we move into the knockout phase. So so if you lose, that's it. You're out. You're on your way home. So maybe he was holding 1 or 2 players back. I don't know, but England they're not playing as well as the English people would have expected. But that's always the case. It's always the case historically.
Most of us in Ghana here wouldn't understand why England and the Russians had a serious fight in France when you played your game. What really accounted for that? What was really the tension between these two countries that really accounted for this serious fight and brutalities in your first game?
Yeah, you see, the problem is, Kweku, when you have these tournaments, the real fans are not the fans who are going fighting. The real fans are in the stadium and watching the game. But unfortunately, a small minority of people always spoil it for everybody else, And Russia, England, and other countries, they're all to Croatia, they've all had problems. And, for English people, it's disappointing when you see pictures like that, street battles, particularly in Marseille, what happened there was very disappointing. They're saying the French police didn't help because they were being a bit too aggressive towards the fans. But the problem is, you've got a few idiots, a few people who are out to spoil everyone else's pleasure, spoiling it for everybody else. And this is the problem. It's a small minority of the supporters that cause all this, and it's very disappointing.
No. Was there a tension or issues between these two fans ahead of the tournament?
There's no tension other than, I suppose, too much to drink. That would probably be one thing. People were saying, "Oh, Russia have brought people who are just not interested in the football. They're looking for trouble, you know. But it wasn't just the English and the Russians, it was the French. French people were involved, you know, and but it's disappointing, you know, and it reflects badly on the country. But unfortunately, you know, you don't seem to get this sort of thing in Africa. I don't know what it is, you know, and it's disappointment. All these flares, all these incidents, you know, it spoils a good competition. So, you know, the English were to blame, the Russians were to blame, and the French were to blame. And, you know, it's disappointing for such a well-organised competition.
All right. So now let's get into the team's discussion. Which country has really impressed you in these Euros? Which country has really disappointed you in these Euros?
Well, the countries that have disappointed me, I suppose, you know, Russia is one. You know, it's the largest country in Europe, yet, you know, very disappointing. They just ended up with 1 point from 3 games and bad press, you know, so disappointing from Russia and Ukraine even. You know, if you go back 4 to 8 years, Shevchenko and all this team, they had a great side. 0 points. You know, they've been very disappointed. And then, you know, if you look at some of the other, you know, the Czech Republic, always been a strong side, but as it stands at the moment, they've just got 1 point. However, saying that, they're beating Turkey 1-0 at the moment as we speak. I think Sweden has also been a disappointing side. You know, Ibrahimovic, you know, he's not really delivered. You know, there's talk of him going to Manchester United now, I heard today. So it looks like he's on his way there. Republic of Ireland have disappointed. You know, high expectations, just 1 point. And even if you look at Group F, you know, the teams that stood out for me are Iceland, the smallest country in Europe. Even though Ronaldo would not agree with me, you know, Portugal have been very disappointing. We spoke, you know, at the beginning of the expectations of Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, he refused to shake hands with the Icelandic team at the end of the game. He said they were small mentality country. You know, and Iceland had played particularly well. They defended like Trojans and they took a point from Portugal. Ronaldo then missed a penalty. You know, he's had a disappointing tournament. And Portugal have still got Hungary to play, and that's going to be very difficult. They may not even qualify. So, you know, these teams have been a little disappointing, I think.
I remember you telling me that Cristiano Ronaldo don't need to be 100% fit before he delivers. Even at 80 or 90% fit, he's supposed to deliver. Has he disappointed you this time?
He's disappointed me, and I think not only has it disappointed me with the football, it's disappointed me with his attitude. You know, you have to show, even if you're one of the top players in the world, you know, you have to be humble. You have to show humility. You know, Iceland are a very, very small nation. They made it very difficult for Portugal and Ronaldo. And Ronaldo was so frustrated with them. You know, he took his anger out on them. But I think, you know, he's a great player, but sometimes I think he lets himself down with his actions and his behaviours, you know. And, you know, he refusing to shake hands with the Icelandic team at the end of the game, for me, you know, it's not being professional, you know. It's not being professional. As we're speaking now, Croatia have just equalised against Spain. It's 1-1. And that's the first goal that Spain have conceded in the championships.
Wow. So which player has really impressed you this Euros? Which player do you think has been outstanding in your estimation?
Well, it's an interesting one. I think at the beginning of the Euros, Kweku, I did say 3 teams. If you remember, I said, you know, look out for Italy, look out for Germany, and look out for Spain, you know. And I also said, you know, the host France, you know, they're in with a shout. But the players who have impressed me, of course, Gareth Bale. You know, 3 goals already, top scorer in the Euros, along with Morata from Spain. You know, Gareth Bale has had a great competition so far. Payet, I think, has been having a great series for France. Morata, 3 goals for Spain. He's having a great series. And, if you look at Belgium, their first game, they were so disappointing. I took a look at their starting lineup and I thought, wow, all great players, but first game they were disappointing. But Lukaku silenced a couple of his critics, 2 good goals in their 3-0 win recently, and now they're in with a shout. So, but I think one of the players for the tournament for me has been Paul Pogba, France. Paul Pogba, midfield. He's had a great competition, and there's talk that he's on his way to Real Madrid as we speak. So I think Paul Pogba has had a really, really great series so far. And if we look at Germany, I think Boateng has been outstanding at the back. Toni Kroos is having a fantastic time in midfield there. And Ozil, Lewandowski, the Polish striker, has been a little disappointing. Lots of goals in the league, but again, he's failed to deliver. But if I had to pick the players, Toni Kroos, Gareth Bale, Payet, and Morata.
Right. That's wonderful.
These are the ones who are standing out at the moment for me, Kweku.
All right. Finally, before you leave us, let's know, which country do you still tip to win the Euros in France? Which country, after watching all the teams play?
It's a great question, Kweku. And if you look at Germany and Italy, they've not conceded a goal yet in the tournament. Italy played 2, won 2, 6 points. Germany played 3, won 2, drawn 1, 7 points. No goals conceded. The only other team not to concede a goal was Spain, but they conceded one just 5 minutes ago. So, my 4 teams are France, Italy, Germany, and Spain. And if you were to push me and say, who is the team to win it, I think I'm still going to go with Germany.
Michael, it's a pleasure talking to you always on Rock 90.7 FM in Takrade. As the Euros goes on, we will still communicate again when you get to the next stage of the competition. Wishing you all the best in the team in Manchester.
Yeah, all the best to everybody there.